Every Christian longs to hear "well done" when he or she stands before Jesus one day. The same applies to the local church. Jesus addressed 7 local churches in the book of Revelation. Often his words were sharp, but to one church they were glowing. Today we'll see why this church was praised and how churches today can hear those same words of commendation. Stay with us. From the Moody Church in Chicago, this is Running to Win with Dr. Erwin Lutzer, whose clear teaching helps us make it across the finish line. Today, Erwin Lutzer continues his 8-part series on what Jesus thinks of his church. Turn to Revelation chapter 3, verse 7, as we learn why Jesus was pleased with a church that had vision, the church at Philadelphia.
I think it was John Greenleaf Whittier who said that the saddest words in tongue or pen were simply these: "It might have been." And we've all had our might have beens, haven't we? We've all gone through those periods of time of deep regret. Maybe it was because we didn't make a financial investment that later on would have turned out to be very much in our favor. Maybe we also have some regret because of the vocation that we've chosen, the place that we've decided to live, relational regret because of people we have either known or wish we had known or wish we hadn't known. All of those things can trigger regret. And the Bible teaches very clearly that it is Jesus who gives us opportunities, but ultimately we must take advantage of those opportunities, those open doors, and walk through those doors for His glory and for the honor of His name. When Jesus dictated these letters to the 7 churches in Revelation, and today we're in Revelation chapter 3, and the church is Philadelphia. When Jesus dictated these letters, and I hope that you've been spending some time reading them, what really should surprise us is that he says nothing about the size of the church. If all that we had was the text of Scripture, we wouldn't know whether Sardis was a large church, whether Ephesus was a large church, whether Philadelphia was small. We wouldn't know that because that apparently is not number 1 on Jesus Christ's list. Every one of these letters that is so penetrating and so convicting to the 7 churches boils down to a simple question that Jesus is responding to, namely, what is your relationship with me? Are you faithful or aren't you faithful? Are you walking through the doors of opportunity or are you walking by because of your own self-interest? Now, we're going to look at the description of Jesus, then we're going to discuss some open doors that the church in Philadelphia had and that we have as well. Chapter 3, verse 7 of Revelation. "And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write the words of the Holy One, the true One, who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one will open." Wow. Don't you love it? First of all, Jesus is described here as the Holy One, which is the same phrase that is used in the Old Testament by God for Himself. This is an indication that Jesus self-consciously refers to Himself as God. I am the Holy One. And then He goes on to say the True One. The True One. All of the characteristics of deity, and we have to keep in mind the vision of Jesus that was seen so clearly in the first chapter. Now notice He also says, I have the key of David. When I open, no one will shut, and when I shut a door, nobody's going to open it. What does that refer to? You might be surprised to discover that the key of David actually is referred to in Isaiah chapter 22. You need not turn to the text, but I'll tell you the story. There was a king by the name of Hezekiah, and he was trying to negotiate with the king of Assyria. And there were some delicate negotiations that were going on, and one of his negotiators was very evil and could not be trusted. So he was demoted, and a man by the name of Eliakim, we don't know much about him. It's almost a confusing text. But a man by the name of Eliakim was put in his place as a negotiator, and it says of him, he has the key of David, and whatever door he opens, and whatever one he shuts, stays shut. He obviously had the authority of the king behind him. And that's the imagery of the keys. It has to do with authority. And so what we know is that Jesus is the one who has the key. I remember taking a tour in Europe, and I was responsible for the tour group, as was the leader also, the guide. But we came to a huge door at a castle. We were supposed to see the castle. But we all had to wait outside because, you can try to look through the keyhole, you can kick the door, you can push it. Absolutely solid. And then there comes a man with a big key, walks past all of us. We don't care what his name is. We don't know whether or not he had breakfast this morning, but we didn't ask him. All that we wanted is for him to put in the key, which he did, and he opened the door. It has to do with authority. Here at the Moody Church, we have many different keys, as many of us learned during a period of transition to the new building. We have some keys that will get you into only one room. There are some keys that will get you into the building, but not the office area. There are keys that will get you into the building and the office area. And then there is what I have here. I looked at it this morning. It says M. This is a master key. And that's why from time to time, when someone can't get into a closet, if I'm close by, they say, "Pastor, will your key open it?" And usually, though not always, it does. It's a master key. It works almost all the time. Now, there's another key here at the church. It is called the Grand Master. The Grand Master. That's the key that gets you into certain technical areas. It gets you into financial offices and what have you. It is the Grand Master. Jesus, as King of the universe, doesn't just have a master key. He has the Grand Master key. And whatever he opens,